Hey Merfolk fans, I'm Joe. Thanks very much for joining me today. If you'd like to support my channel, please check out the link above to my Patreon page. I'm back with a replay of round 5 of a Modern League. At this point, I was sitting at 3-1, having beaten Mono Blue Tron, Humans, and Storm. I lost to Black Green Rock, and have a chance to go 4-1 here. Opponent is on the play. This is a good hand. I can keep this. I don't want to draw another land or two, but could definitely make some Merfolk stuff happen with this hand. All right, Tron again. I guess this is probably regular Tron. So there's another Relic. We saw that turn 1 in another matchup in this league. Maybe it was the other Tron as well. But very happy that it gives me something to do on turn 1, though I'd rather be drawing lands right now. All right, opponent goes for Sylvan Scrying, which means that they're going to have access to their Tron lands. So tower in hand, expedition map on the board. Going to go ahead and trim that Sylvan Scrying. Tron doesn't really dig for cards in their graveyard, so whatever, but it's just good practice. Silvergill, hopefully drawing a third land. I should mention that having this Force of Negation in hand is pretty huge against Tron. If they've only got one big Planeswalker Haymaker in hand, then we've got a chance to fight through it. So they're going to go ahead, crack the map, and get the mine that they're missing. And I guess play out a relic of their own. So a lot of decks are running relics in the main these days. Another Silvergill. I'm on land. We'd love to cycle this relic here. All right, so yeah, we had a little bit of extra card draw with Silvergill Adept, but we did hit our third land drop on time. That's pretty nice. Let's go ahead and trim that expedition map. Play the land, swing for 2. No reason to crack the relic just yet. There's also no real reason to wait. See what the opponent does. So they get to 8 mana, and when opponents tick down like this, I always think it's Walking Ballista. But the opponent went for Ugin, and this Force of Negation. Gonna pitch a Master of Waves. I got one too many of that guy anyway. Ugin down, we get to cycle our Relic, draw into a Spreading Seas, which shows the value of the Relic, right? Because extra card draw, just getting us to those important cards. Put Spreading Seas on their Mine, which was the last piece that they fetched for. Draw into another land right on time. Again, without cycling that Relic, I think we would have drawn Seas for the turn and then a Vial, which is sort of okay, but better to hit the land and start cracking for more. So we're getting for 6 here. Hopefully the opponent can't immediately reestablish Tron. Well, okay, Sylvan Scrying, but they did have to tap 2 of their lands to do that, which means they're only going to be able at most to play like a Karn here. I've already got Island Walk. Like Wormcoil doesn't really scare me at all. Yeah, so Karn's going to kill the Lord, but he's going to go down to 3 loyalty and just play another Lord, attack Karn with one of the Silvergills, and attack the opponent down to 9 with the other. The opponent does have Tron back online. We do have shields down since we don't have another force in hand, though we do have a redraw with Waterlogged Grove. So go ahead and do that now. All we hit was a Relic, unfortunately, and we don't have the mana to cycle that. So if the opponent does have like another Ugin here, it could just be game over for us. So they cycle their own Relic. Play an Oblivion Stone, and I lose all my stuff. So yeah, that's pretty rough. Oh well. Still have 4 lands to work with. Drew a Mutavault. Gonna play out the AEther Vial and the Master of Waves. Reestablish a board. Master of Waves with the Mutavault is already 7 power. The Lord would make it lethal if the opponent had nothing but lands in his hand. But he's got a Wormcoil Engine. He's got a Ghost Quarter to deal with the Mutavault. Tick up the AEther Vial. Another Relic. I guess it's nice to be able to cycle. But in this case, I guess we should be thinking throughout this league about what Relic could have done if it was another flex choice, like if it was a Regery or if it was a Phantasmal Image, one of those things. Drew another Lord, but since we only got 2 islands left, we can only play one of them. So if that Relic were say a Phantasmal Image instead, we could have played a Lord and played a Phantasmal Image, I think, which would have copied Master of Waves, would have been pretty good. It looks like the opponent is maneuvering into a pretty solid spot here. Even more solid after finding and casting Ulamog. So we're going to take 6 from this Worm Coil, and yeah, it's pretty much lights out. That game went from pretty good to pretty terrible very quickly. Start off with Vialing and Silvergill Adept, but things are not looking very good. Drew that land and just scooped. So game 1 of round 5 goes to the mono green Tron player. Let's go ahead to game 2, see what the sideboarding strategy is, and see if that game went any better. Alright guys, back for game 2. I'm going to be on the play this time. Let's check out the sideboarding. So Master of Waves just comes out against mono green Tron. They've just got too many ways to deal with it pretty easily, like Walking Ballista, and then Karn can just point his -3 at it. I mean, I guess the same can be said for Mono Blue Tron, but I don't think they run as many Walking Ballistas as Mono Green Tron does. I might be totally mistaken, but Master of Waves just seems worse. It's not amazing in either of them, but it just seems worse against Mono Green Tron in my experience. It's probably pretty bad against Mono Blue Tron as well, since they have Spatial Contortions, but I left 1 in against them. It's pretty marginal at that point when you've only got a singleton. So, what did I take out? I took out all 4 relics there. I took out the 4 Master of Waves and 1 Biomancer. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 cards out, brought in 4 Deprives, 4 Phyrexian Revokers, and I think a single Echoing Truth. That was what I had space for. I don't really love overloading on Echoing Truths in the matchup. It can be very useful, but it can also be kind of a do-nothing card, depending on the board state. So, again, I'm going to be on the play. So, opponent, I kept, and they kept. This is a really, really nice hand. It's got a nice assortment of lands. It's got Vial, creatures, counter magic, and land disruption. Couldn't have really drawn it up better. I guess I might have made the Trickster into a Lord, since Trickster doesn't do too much in this matchup until they get like Worm Coils down. Alright, turn 1 Expedition Map, so both swinging pretty hard from turn 1. AEther Vial takes up, Force of Negation, things are just going better and better. I'm going to play the Spreading Seas now. And Trickster is a little bit more useful later in the game, and I'd rather continue just to draw cards right now, develop a plan for how I want things to go. So we continue to draw excellent interaction for the matchup. Opponent plays another Tron piece, and on their end step, we'll just Vial and Ben. Take AEther Vial up to 2, and for the turn, I drew, let's see, Mutavault. This is pretty nice. We get to play out lands. So swing with Ben. We've got probably Trickster coming in. Now I could have activated Vial. The opponent is almost certainly going to think I'm bringing in a Lord, and if I brought in Revoker, they wouldn't be able to use their Expedition Map. Now I guess the reason it's a little bit strange that the opponent didn't crack his Expedition Map. I didn't play out a second Spreading Seas there. But I guess what's going on there, if it was in fact intentional, and if he didn't just make a mistake, he's 2 Tron lands away, and he needs to know which one he wants to search for. So he's giving himself another draw step. If he draws one of them for the turn, he can play it and then crack the Expedition Map. So there's one of them, and so now he is only 1 land away. He's going to play another Expedition Map. And I had a good think here about what I wanted to do with my AEther Vial. You notice I didn't counter the Expedition Map with Force of Negation. This is for much more impactful spells. I I do have the option here to vial in Revoker and name Expedition Map. Again, they almost certainly think that I'm going to play a Lord or a Trickster or, Silvergill Adept. They're not thinking Phyrexian Revoker. So I could almost certainly catch them with their pants down with these 2 Expedition Maps. And it seemed like a pretty high upside play for me. So vialed in the Revoker, the opponent did not respond, so now he can't crack those 2 Expedition Maps. So I felt like I got a fast one by on the opponent there. I chose not to loot with Ben because I just had kind of gas in hand there, even though I had the mana up. If I draw into more lands, I'm going to want to be able to loot them away with Ben. So continuing to draw extremely well in this game. Get in with the 2 creatures. Revoker showing its strength as a creature. It gets to contribute damage, actually swinging for more than our Merfolk here. Opponent just naturally had an Urza's Power Plant in hand. I didn't need either of these Expedition Maps to get there, and that's sort of like an of course they have it moment. I mean, Tron never doesn't have it. So what are they going for here? All right, so Wormcoil, fortunately we've got a Deprive in hand, so pretty easy decision just to counter that thing. And then on their end step, I can go ahead and vial in the Lord. So starting to swing for a little bit more. I haven't really mentioned it, but I've passed the last few turns with 3 mana up to hard cast Force of Negation, so I don't have to pitch any of my cards. All right, so I'm drawing extremely well. Gonna leave up 3 mana again for Force of Negation. Cracking in for 6 here, opponent's down to 10, and they've got plenty of mana. They're going to start off with Ancient Stirrings, and we'll see what they draw. Oblivion Stone, so we can hit that with Force of Negation. Going to actually pay 3 for it. If they follow up with... They only have 5 mana after that point, so they couldn't really do anything that scary. So I felt safe, rather than, for example, pitching Force of Negation to leave up 2 mana for Deprive. I just felt, you can't... I didn't want to throw away the Trickster, so... Hardcast Force of Negation. Opponent has a Chromatic Sphere. Let's see, we already saw this, so I can hide that. Gonna cycle the Chromatic Sphere. Chromatic Star. Probably gonna cycle the Chromatic Star. And at this point, we've got... 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If we vial in the Trickster, it should be lights out. So, let's see. Another island is interesting there. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I can activate the Mutavault and still have up mana in case they magically have Spatial Contortion in hand. So let's crack in. This is more than lethal. And yeah, we got there for game 2 against Green Tron. We had a really beautifully balanced hand that game. We didn't draw too many lands. We had AEther Vial on turn 1. We shut off 2 of their Expedition Maps. A Lord, a Mutavault, plenty of counter magic. Yeah, just couldn't have drawn it up better. So let's go ahead to game 3 and see how the league concluded. All right, back for the last game of the last round of this league. Opponent gets to be on the play, but I draw another really, really beautiful hand. 3 lands, AEther Vial, Spreading Seas, Deprive, Phyrexian Revoker. Opponent kept as well. Turn 1 Expedition Map. All right, well, we're getting to see what the best Merfolk hands can do against the best Tron hands, I guess. All right, they learned their lesson. They just crack the Expedition Map as soon as possible so that the Revoker can't get them. And there's that Urza's Mine ready for next turn. Gonna take this AEther Vial up and another Deprive. Can't complain. Play the Oboro. Play Spreading Seas on the tower. Slow down their Tron lands. And wow, so now we have a Deprive Tron, as Saffron Olive would say. Forest, they're gonna not run that mine out just yet. Forest, so they play the Forest to play Nature's Claim on the AEther Vial, which is a little bit annoying, but we don't really have a lot of creatures to put into play with it, and we have lands, so it's really not the end of the world. We go up to 24. The opponent has an expedition map. And yeah, we drew a Trickster. It's another creature. Can deal with that. Play a Mutavault and chose to run out Revoker here, naming Expedition Map because the opponent only had 1 mana, and we want to try to keep them off of Tron. We know that they have a mine in hand, but we don't know that they can replace this tower yet. So there's that mine that we knew about. Chromatic Star, and they used their Nature's Claim already on AEther Vial, so it's that much less likely that they'll have another Nature's Claim to deal with the Phyrexian Revoker. So another Spreading Seas was very timely. I'm actually, with all these Deprives in hand, I'm just going to keep hitting their lands. I'll just leave up 2 mana for Deprive and start getting in with this Phyrexian Revoker, and we can actually sort of count the damage that this guy does. So there's 2. Opponent looks like they played another power plant. Might have missed it. Not doing anything for their turn. I can just flash in this Trickster. Drew a land, played a land. Activate Mutavault. Phyrexian Revoker gets in again. That's 4 damage at this point. Pass to the opponent. Have a Ghost Quarter to deal with the Mutavault. Still no Tron. There's a Wormcoil. We'll use one of our 3 Deprives to deal with that. Another Trickster. Let's activate Mutavault again. Phyrexian Revoker getting in for its 5th and 6th points of damage. Once again, opponent goes for Nature's Claim. I am going to let this resolve. Got Trickster for the end step in combination with the Lord. Will be 6 power, even if he deals with the Mutavault with Ghost Quarter. So Phyrexian Revoker down. The opponent gets to crack their Expedition Map, but they're still 2 lands away from establishing Tron. They get a tower, and they play a tower. But no more action this turn. Alright, so on their end step, we're going to flash in this Trickster, as I mentioned. They blow up our Mutavault. That actually gives us a land if we want to cycle Waterlogged Grove. Looks like I chose not to do that. Play out the Master of the Pearl Trident, get in for 6, and hope the opponent doesn't have anything, and they didn't. So the deck treated me really, really well. Kind of all 3 games. I just drew a bunch of relics, actually, in game 1, and they cycled into good stuff, but the opponent just had better stuff. Games 2 and games 3, we had a clock with lots of counterspells. So out of the Tron opponent this game, the only gas that we really had to counter was a Wormcoil Engine, but I'm sure that they had, some pretty big spells in here that they couldn't cast because we kept them off of their Tron lands. So I was pretty happy with this league. I went 4-1. The main deck relics were live in 3 of the 5 matchups. It's sort of live against Mono Blue Tron, but definitely quite good against Black Green Rock in round 3, and definitely extremely good against Storm, which I think I saw in round 4. So very good in 2 of the matchups, pretty solid against Mono Blue Tron, and not particularly good against humans, but I won anyway, and not particularly good against Mono Green Tron, but again, I won anyway. So yeah, great league. Hoping that I can 5-0 again soon. The deck feels pretty strong. I'm pretty happy with the sideboard choices as things stand. I am going to bring in the Minamo, which I had out for this league. I had 11 islands in this league. I'm going to have 10 moving forward, just to play around Choke a little bit more, because I have gotten hit with it twice in the last few days. Once I managed to eke out the win anyway, but in the other, as you guys saw, Choke hit me pretty hard. So leave your thoughts down below. Let me know if I missed anything, if you guys would have played any of the cards, different sequences or whatever. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please check out my Patreon page. And yeah, keep tuning in, because I'm sure I'm going to have more Merfolk action with Force of Negation, Phyrexian Revoker, Waterlogged Grove. Things have been pretty fun lately. I've been having a great time playing the deck. Hopefully you guys have as well. And yeah, I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.